All right, welcome back to the We Win in July podcast. I'm Tyler Todd, your host, and here with my co-host, Jaron Sandberg.
It felt weird.
It felt weird just saying Jaron Sandberg and not saying Jaron the Snow Canyon Man Sandberg.
Yeah.
It's always the nickname.
It's kind of going to stick, I feel like.
It is. It is. Well, welcome back, you guys. We are talking about kind of some pop culture today, intertwined with some legal issues. I didn't realize that it was so kind of like a hot topic. I've been seeing it on TikTok. I've been seeing it online, but I didn't realize there was an actual lawsuit filed. Spencer Pratt against Gavin Newsom. Now everyone's saying that Spencer Pratt, formerly of The Hills, do you know who that is when I say that? I mean, I know you kind of we've been kind of prepping pre-podcast.
We talked about the podcast, but no, I think these guys, I looked up before the show, these guys became popular when I was on my 2-year vacation to Brazil. So I have an excuse.
You have an excuse.
When this became a big show, at least these guys.
But they've like reinvented themselves recently due to obviously the Palisades fires. We're going to talk about that. That's the subject of the lawsuit. But they've reinvented themselves because of the fires, and then obviously get back on TikTok. But if you remember, and Sam, our producer, said that he infuriated you, right? Infuriated. But he was finally that guy. So from The Hills.
But like made for great television. Okay.
Made for great TV.
Let's recap. What is The Hills?
So The Hills was a reality
MTV show
from like fallen in I think they were teenagers in high school, seniors in high school, or graduates, or, anyways.
Like supposed to be like Saved by the Bell in real life.
Laguna Beach. Did you ever watch the show The OC?
A little bit.
It was kind of like the OC in real life.
Okay.
Now the OC, what was his name? Adam Brody. He was one of the main characters in the OC. He has a new show with Kristen Bell. Have you seen that one?
I haven't seen the show yet.
Oh, she's a podcaster. It's actually really good. It's really funny. It's brilliant. Anyways.
Wait, like a romance? Is it the romantic?
Yeah, he's like a Jewish pastor.
Yeah, he's a Jewish. That's a great show.
It is a great show.
We ended up binge watching.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Netflix got me, or whatever it is.
But he became famous because of the OC, and I think the OC did so well because of The Hills.
Okay.
And I don't know which came first, The Hills or the OC, but I'm pretty sure it was The Hills. And then the OC, I don't know, Southern California was all the rage at that time. Anyways, Spencer Pratt.
Well, and did you live in Southern California at that time?
I did at the time.
You did at the time. So maybe even a little bigger.
So maybe so, right?
The equivalent of living in Utah right now with all the Mormon wives.
Yeah. It's maybe more relevant to us. I don't know though, because
no, I'm not saying it was limited to there, but maybe you were a little more culturally aware of it.
Maybe
that you were living in.
I just came home. I just came back from France, and I was talking, and people would say, "Where are you from?" And we're saying, "United States of America." I know what part, and we'd say Utah. You know what they say?
Secret Lives of Mormon.
Secret Lives? Mormon. I was like, oh, you watch that? That's crazy.
You're like, that's exactly like Utah.
Well, they said two things. They said two things in response to, I'm from Utah. They said two things. Either Utah Jazz or Secret Lives of Mormon Wives.
That's cool that people knew Utah Jazz, though. That's good.
Many said Utah Jazz. There's only a few of the girls that would be like,
yeah,
Secret Lives of Mormon Wives?
Yeah.
Anyways.
So, just like Jim Carrey says, are the French a-holes?
I don't think so.
Just kidding.
They were great. I thought the French were great.
Is that from Dumb and Dumber? That's a line from Dumb and Dumber, right? The French are
it's so funny, too. If you're preparing to go to a European trip, now I do recommend like doing the whole Duolingo thing because it's fun. It gets you excited. You're starting to learn a language. We went hard on Duolingo. But probably not as hard as I could have gone.
Who went the hardest on Duolingo in your family? Did you go the hardest? I mean, were you like, I'm all in?
We all did pretty good. I'm not going to lie.
Because you obviously speak Spanish, so you maybe have an advantage on learning language.
I speak fluent Spanish, so I thought that would actually give me an advantage, but French and Spanish are so different.
It didn't help.
The Italian and Spanish are kind of like overlapping a bit, and that did help, but French I don't think so.
Okay, so you went all in Duolingo to get excited for the trip. Kids are all in. There's a family trip.
We all do it. And I would recommend you do that because it gets some excitement for the trip and it's fun to prepare. And we did our PowerPoint presentations. That's fun.
I love that tradition.
Where everyone had to kind of do like what do they want to see, what monument or what food they wanted to eat, that type of thing. But I promise you, when I would start to talk, bonjour, and I think they did appreciate that. As soon as I would say bonjour, they're like, what can I get you?
Back to English.
How many do you want? Like, And it's like in French, like I would like a croissant. You know,
Yeah.
like how many do you want? Totally ruined all of my Duolingo. I didn't even use it except for bonjour and bonsoir and like a couple of like phrases. So maybe get on TikTok.
Now, was anyone else in the family like more bold? Like, I wonder if anyone else had like a better accent. No, they all chickened out more than you.
Well, because you do. You kind of get a deer in headlights when you start to say something and it comes back at you and you're like,
trust me, that's me with Spanish.
Yeah.
I know it well enough to understand our clients, but man, as soon as I have to say something and you know that people around you also speak Spanish, you
just freeze.
Nah, you do it.
Yeah, you freeze. So, I mean, do it because it's fun to prepare for it, but just know that most of them speak English. They're going to say, what do you want? And it's a waste of time and money. Sorry, Duolingo. Where were we going with that?
We're not you were about to announce our new sponsor, Duolingo, for the show.
Yes, thank you for Duolingo. Thank you, Duolingo, for sponsoring the show. We appreciate you.
We appreciate
and
Tyler's.
Make sure you sign up for the family plan. I think it's $14.99. I think you get so many users. And then make sure as soon as you come home from your France or whatever trip you go, wherever you go, to cancel it.
To cancel it.
But again, thank you, Duolingo, for sponsoring the show. So Spencer Pratt. Okay, Spencer Pratt. So they were super, the show was famous.
Yep.
You had Kristen Cavallari, who's still relevant and all over Instagram and social media. I think you still have Lauren Conrad, who's still pretty relevant and quite an influencer for, I don't know, jewelry or clothing line or something she does. Spencer Pratt. Oh, and he married Heidi Montag, also from the show. And she tried to so after the show, because it was so popular, 20 years ago now? I think it was something around there. She tried to have like a music career that just kind of fizzled and didn't even go anywhere. But because of their most recent fame on TikTok, as a result of all the videos they were posting about the Palisade fires, she just did, I think the song that she had released 20 years ago, Pitbull just did it.
Okay.
So I think just
now, did he do a cover of it or like
a cover or a collab or something?
Yeah.
So I think recently she was even the number one song on iTunes just a couple months ago.
Okay.
Which is wild. It's good for them.
Yep.
So it's kind of what we want to talk about during the show is kind of, the power of social media is crazy.
Yep. And
the influence that you can have over policy, procedure. And that's another reason why why we do this podcast, is because so much of what we do as lawyers and injury lawyers specifically is we're storytellers. Yeah.
Well, and that was even, the Baldoni case, and we don't need to revisit a ton, but I feel like Justin Baldoni won how the social and how the media viewed that case, but legally got this case tossed out.
Yeah, we got to do another podcast on that and all the recent developments about what's going on legally on that case. But yeah,
controlling kind of the story of how things are told is a big part of what we do as lawyers.
But storytelling is super important, because when people have been injured in an accident, that's what we do. We represent to the insurance companies how those injuries and how that accident has impacted their lives. And they don't know that unless you have someone to advocate and tell their story.
I mean, that's in between when we chase ambulances.
Typically, and when we catch our breath.
Yeah, once you come up for breath, you're like, okay, now I'll do some real represent people
so
and tell
when you
stories.
go to the gym, do you have a little ambulance dingling out in front of you?
I'm trying to catch it all day. I can't, it's a motivator. I tie it to a stick.
Yeah, it looks weird when I'm on the treadmill because it's bobbing to the ambulance. But
I'm gonna get it, and
it works.
The treadmill speeds up.
And by the way, you look great because you can tell it's working.
Yeah, thank you. All the ambulance I chase. So.
Yeah. So, anyway, Spencer Pratt. So they've obviously reinvented themselves because of the fires, and unfortunately due to the fires, because they were obviously catastrophic. And I mean, you have to be under a rock, legitimate, I think, to not know about the California fires.
And catastrophic to one of the biggest cities in the U.S. Big. Yeah. I just was down there 2 weeks ago, and man, there's so many people down there.
So many people. The Pacific Palisades area is really quite a large area. So the amount of homes that were lost and the amount of people that were affected by the fires is tragic. And so and they're still dealing with it, which is the focus of obviously this podcast and why Spencer Pratt's doing what he's doing. And I didn't realize that he had filed that lawsuit back in the end of January. The fires were January 7th of this year, 2025. And then, of course, I don't know if you remember, but there were a number of charitable events and like concerts, a number of things like, hey, raise money for the fire
it's Hollywood, right? I mean, they know how to raise some money
right.
for a good cause.
But apparently there's been millions and millions and millions of dollars that have been raised and for the purpose of going directly to fire victims, none of which the victims have seen, which is what Spencer Pratt is trying to then
raise
awareness and call out Governor Newsom to say, where's all this money? And that's why that's the subject of the lawsuit. So it's really interesting because apparently, and if you look on, and you guys have been seeing it, I would imagine, if you watch his TikTok and you watch his Twitter, he's really doing like a major deep dive into like where the money's going, where has it been. Charitable organizations that have either been founded because of the fires or charitable organizations that existed prior to the fires that are still recipients of fire money. Yeah. So he's basically saying, wait, how do we have these charitable organizations that were founded and were like, I think there's several board members or either Newsom or friends of Newsom.
What we're all thinking, right, is anytime you're donating to a charity, I don't care what it is, your hope is that most of this, if not all of it, is going to the actual issue I'm donating to this charity.
Right.
The big thing we all think, though, and this is where I think the outrage and a lot of the stuff comes from, is the opposite, is any of this going to the thing that we're donating or raising money for?
Well, quite frankly, that's what I mean, I don't know how you guys feel, and you think you just touched on it. When you get hit up for money, yeah, I mean, immediately my thought is, I'd like to think my immediate thought is I'm happy to donate, right?
Yeah. Happy to give back to the community.
Happy to give back. But I think the immediate thought is, if I do, is it going to where you're saying it's going to go?
And this was the backlash, if you recall, on the fires in Hawaii with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson dealt with the same thing, was that he's out there asking for money and the perception was, wait a second, like, if you and Oprah just donated $10 million each, you've raised the money that you were trying to raise for these victims. And I'm not saying that celebrities should be coming, but he actually issued a public apology saying, hey, I kind of misread the room. And, when I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
Well, I don't know if you have seen any of like the Spencer Pratt social media posts he's putting out there. He actually, I don't know if it's him or someone that's been kind of following what he's been doing. So they're like collabing together, but they recognize the parallels between the Maui fires and now the LA fires, and where's the money? If you go to Maui right now, and I mean, I was there last summer, so it's been a year, but that was 7-8 months post fires. There, I kind of had the same thought.
Yeah. Where's the money?
Where's the money going? What's taking so long to get things going?
Yeah.
And I think that's what Spencer Pratt is saying is, okay, now we're 7 months, 8 months now, 8 months probably this week, post fires. Where's the money?
Well, and one of the things you always hear too is like these governors, and again, we know Governor Newsom's involved in this lawsuit, is always, I'm going to cut the red tape so that we can get these things going. That's what you hear, but I don't think that's the whole story.
Yeah. So I think everyone feels the same way. I mean, look, especially on the internet, behind, on your phone or from your den or your bedroom or your office or wherever you're consuming your social media, it's very easy to become a conspiracy theorist, right? And maybe by nature we're all to some degree skeptical.
Like, even movies with conspiracy, those are great movies.
They're great movies.
You're like,
right?
Oh, I love a good conspiracy. But I'll get behind that.
But there's a lot of truth to it, and that's what's so crazy is because what Spencer Pratt is now raising awareness about, there's some truth to that.
Yeah.
When this first happened, we were all hearing that the reservoirs were dry.
Yeah.
There's been zero explanation. And then Newsom came out and said he was going to do an investigation into the lack of water to the fire hydrants. And what Spencer's saying is, where's the investigation? Where are the reports? What have you found?
Now, do you think some of this is a politician saying things just to please and calm people down, as opposed to either one, not doing it, Or is it the investigation show that it pointed back towards the governor's office, and so that's why we haven't heard anything about the investigation?
I think there's a lot. I think there's a lot of like all of the above, right?
Yeah.
To be quite honest, because now again, he's posting stuff. I don't know what he's posting is true. It could be manipulated. It could be modified. I don't know.
Yeah.
But based on what he's posted, there's a number of things that look super, super fishy that Newsom and his office are doing.
Yep.
Because after Spencer posted some things, Governor Newsom and his office took things down. And then websites came down. And some different things were happening that made it look like, whoa, okay, he's calling them on the carpet. They're not liking it. And either they're just going away or they're going to do some things that, now I think Spencer's loud enough and has enough following that maybe he's not worried about it, but I think he has to be kind of worried.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, and it's one of those things too where it's a catch-22 because a lot of celebrities raise awareness, so they do sit on these. A lot of them have done really cool charitable things, but at the same time, it gets a little fishy when the governor's like, "Oh, we're giving this to this charity, and I have family members or my sister-in-law or someone's on this board." That then it goes back to that initial question of, is the money just going to all the people running the organization, or is the money actually going to the thing they're raising money for, which in this case is the fires?
Well, yeah, and I think that's what Spencer has pointed out. They're one of the charitable organizations that was connected, I think, with Steve Ballmer that was in existence prior to the fires. It's like some musical organization.
Yeah.
So it's like, wait, why are we sending $3 million to some group of artists? And then why are we sending another $7 million to this other group of like randoms? I think actually his TikToker, his Twitter was like, boy, they all look like they're pretty wealthy. They're all wearing nice clothes. I don't know why they need $7 million. And then I think there was a letter from, I want to say either Los Angeles Fire Department, I don't know, maybe the governor's office.
Yeah.
And it had all this list of charitable organizations, and it said like, we're going to direct it to the victims and beyond. And so then Spencer Pratt was like, okay, and so who are the and beyonds?
Yeah.
And they do that, and we kind of know as lawyers that you do that to kind of like, in general terms, open it up so you can't be pinned down. It's like, oh, well, we did say and beyond because it wasn't just those particular.
Yeah, your house burned down, but this house got destroyed from something right next door as the, fire trucks were coming through or something, or the looting ended up causing this. We don't want to pigeonhole ourselves to this only going to a house that burned down.
Right.
The one thing I think, so again, if you're the attorney for Spencer Pratt, what's the first thing you start doing record gathering? I always think in terms of, you've got the complaint, it's been filed, you're doing the initial discovery. What do you want to see?
Well, first you have to prove the liability, right? And their argument is that they knew or should have known that there was the fire hazards.
Yeah. Lack of water.
And then there was apparently there was a fire. There was a fire in another state park close by days before the Palisades fire. And Governor Newsom had made comments that they had deployed a number of like fire trucks and helicopters and other assets that were there to be ready in the event that the fires worsened or there were other fires that came from this. I think the Penga State Park was the fire.
Okay.
So what they're trying to suggest is that all of that was garbage. That they didn't take the precautions, they didn't do
this was lip service to the public as opposed to actual.
Kind of goes back to what you were saying earlier.
Yeah.
So total lip service to kind of like CYA.
Yeah.
Right? Cover your assets.
Cover your assets.
And that's exactly what they were doing. So if you're Spencer and his lawyers, right, you're saying, and Heidi, I think she's part of the lawsuit as well. And there's a number of other plaintiffs in that lawsuit, not just like Spencer Pratt and Heidi Montag. But if you're those lawyers, you're saying, look, you knew or should have known that there was a significant fire hazard. You didn't do anything to prevent that hazard. In fact, you were doing things to the contrary. You'd already depleted the reservoir. Our reservoirs. For whatever reason, you would cut off the water to our fire hydrants.
Yeah.
So it might unravel a giant conspiracy, because there are conspiracy theories that this is all intentional.
Now, sometimes when you file a lawsuit, like we look at things like pleading standard, right? And so the pleading standard is saying things like, on its face, at least we have to have a valid claim. And then sometimes you investigate during this discovery portion of the case where we discover that maybe our initial, I don't want to call it a hypothesis because it can't be that loose, but where your initial claims, it turns out that there's more to the story.
Right.
In this case, their at least initial hypothesis, pleading standard, at least they've pleaded sufficient things not get their case tossed out, is they've got all these allegations of, this is what we think you did. It was a big lip service, and you basically created the perfect storm for this fire to really get out of control.
Either negligently and or intentionally.
Yeah.
Or recklessly.
Recklessly is probably
recklessly, not intentionally, because that could kill some case there if it was intentional, or at the very least reckless.
But yeah, disregard for the safety, and people died, and everyone lost a lot of property. I mean, just the
emotional distress, the property damage, all the different things that these people are going through, no question.
Yeah.
And so the damages are in the millions. In fact, there's a number of law firms and friends. I even have friends that are advertising for fire claims.
Yeah.
Down there in Southern California and over the Pacific Palisades fires. So, and there's a lot that can be done. So it's going to be really interesting from this point moving forward. And it's only 6 months in. So yeah. I'm curious. I don't know exactly where they are in the discovery phase.
Well, and especially with the rate of cases in California.
But this is what's interesting. I've seen a lot of comments on our own TikToks that we do and different things that we post and all the comments that come in about ambulance chasers, which was hilarious, by the way, your comment. And that we take all the money and the victims don't get anything. Well, right now, there's no money. In fact, there's allegedly been millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars that have come in and no money to the victims. So not only is there a depletion of money that was allegedly raised, but the state of California is definitely not ponying up money for the victims either.
Yeah, they're in their own budget deficit issues.
Well, yeah, but they're certainly not offering, hey guys, here's several $1 million.
We screwed up. Here's how we're going to fix it.
Here's $500,000 per family, or here's $1 million per family for to rebuild your home and all the loss that you suffered.
Yeah.
They're not doing that. So not only do we not have any of the money that was allegedly raised, but California is certainly not offering money for settlement.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and one of the hard things too is, and you learn this early in the attorney world. And I remember I read a book about the mining disasters in the, East Coast. And, that was one of the first cases you studied as a lawyer in law school, or prospective lawyer, is after these big disasters, it's not, people think of the news has done really well. The vultures are circling. It's plaintiffs' attorneys.
Right.
They're the ones out for money. What you learn really quickly is it's the defense firms that work for the insurance companies coming out and offering peanuts and saying, take this, sign a waiver of we don't have any future responsibility. That's where this gets so frustrating because again, the negative backlash, and we see it on our, ambulance chasers, the vultures are circling. Of course, it's the lawyers. It's the defense lawyers that are trying to get their client, the insurance companies, out for cheap on these massive claims.
Not only do we see that on the daily with insurance adjusters that offer our clients $500 or $1,000 to go away, when in all reality their claim may be worth $50 to $100 or more. We see that, but you also see it in these big catastrophic events. But then, have you ever seen Landman?
Yes.
Do you see that? And the one thing I thought about when you said that was when the
Billy Bob Thornton, he's great. So great.
But in Landman, if you guys have been watching Landman or seen Landman, one, it's a pretty good show. It's a little saucy, but that's what happened. Remember the well exploded?
Yeah.
And 2 or 3 of the guys died. And the first thing that happened is they were out there trying to get them settled for what? Like $100,000?
Yeah, it was, and then in the conversation of you're going to have to pony up.
Right. But that's exactly what they do.
Yeah.
And so I assure you, even though your comments are well taken and we understand why, and I'm just curious though, if anyone making those comments about, the lawyers take all the money and they're left with like $2,000, they sold the case for $500,000 and they were left with $5,000. I was just curious, was that your case or you just heard about it?
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure if you do the Pineapple Express, you know what that is? Or the Coconut Express? We played that game in France, actually.
Is that like I might be thinking of a
It's
different
like when
game.
you have like a row of like 10 people.
Yeah.
It's just
My kids play this.
yeah, and you make a comment and you have to whisper it to each other.
Yeah.
And then the last person says what the first person said.
Yeah.
And it's totally different than
My kids love that game, actually.
It is a funny
like a
game.
family night game.
we played it in France, and I was the last one, and I said something crazy, and it was nothing like what was started.
In my family, it's the 4-year-old that throws it way off because what he hears is way off.
Totally off. But I'm convinced that's what happens when people hear about, oh, so and so got a settlement, and this is what happened.
Yeah.
So and so got a settlement. I don't know how many times I've heard my sister-in-law in New York got a settlement.
Yeah.
And they got X amount of dollars. And I'm like, okay, well, what were the injuries? I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, what were the facts of the case? Oh, I don't know. Well, was it settled pre-litigation or did it actually go to a law? Well, I'm not sure, but I'm sure it was this.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, then do you know exactly what like your sister-in-law received? Well, I'm not sure. Well, you know exactly the percentage they charge? I don't know. Do you know what the lawyers actually took? Well, I'm not sure either, but I know it was way more than my sister-in-law. Well, how much? Well, I don't know.
Yeah. I think a lot of that is that lost in translation of this is like the 8th person down the line to retell it to us.
Right. So I would just say, anyone making a comment, bring them. We like them. We respect them. But I would beg you to say, hey, what are the details of that case? And explain how it happened and what would the individual had received but for the lawyer's assistance and advocacy, right? And that's why I think this California fire thing is so important. It's important, but it's also interesting because where'd the money go?
It's pointing out what people suspect on an individual case basis for our cases that we deal with is, oh, the lawyer took all the money. But in this case, it's kind of interesting to see on a large scale where they're going to be able to look at it and say, where did the money go? And it's not the lawyers at this point. This sounds like almost like the state and the governor has a little hand in it. Or at least that's what's being alleged is there's a hand in it.
I echo Spencer Pratt. Where's the money? Where'd the money go? And what is California actually doing for all the victims of the Pacific Palisades fires?
Yeah.
It's pretty wild. So it's really interesting to see what Spencer Pratt has done.
Have they got to the bottom of it?
Sam, infuriating or not, he is literally, and someone was like, this guy needs to win a Pulitzer because what he's doing is pretty awesome and raising awareness saying, where is this money?
Yeah.
Because the victims have certainly not received it.
Now tell me this, have they actually found the root of the fire? Like, do they know what started the fires? Maybe I missed that.
I thought it was like they arrested somebody for it, like
arson type things. Because we're doing this in Utah, we've got quite a few fires going. We had,
which is also convenient that happened.
Again, do you frame the guy who, that goes back to the conspiracy theories of like who shot JFK and some of these things. But in Utah, we're dealing, we just had the Pine Valley fire, burned down, I think, 17 structures, 14 cabins. But they were pretty quick to identify that this was a lightning strike. A tree had been basically smoldering for a few days before it finally lit on fire and started that fire.
Well, it goes back to the same issue.
So
what did Washington County or Iron County leaders or whoever's responsible for that? What's the responsibility? What's the duty to clear the brush and to make sure that in the event of a lightning strike, which is not uncommon, right? It happens. In the event that happens, we don't have a catastrophic fire that just spreads like wildfire.
Yeah.
And there's some other major fires up in northern Utah, central Utah, up near Monroe, that are some of the largest fires. I mean, our skies have been gray and cloudy and smoky.
Yeah.
Right. So it's an interesting.
And the liability on these fires too are interesting too. On some of these fires, they've actually been able to pinpoint, hey, this was the utility company. I mean, it's basically their line causing these fires. And in some places, they've done like rolling blackouts where they've actually powered it down because it's such a high risk with the wind and different things. And so that's why I was curious if they had, because again, what us as attorneys are always thinking is, in this one, it was a lot of money raised by charities and different things, and some of it might be state funds, but If it ever went back to, oh, this was a utility company, then we're looking at the liability directly.
Absolutely.
Direct liabilities are the things we're always looking for. And so even in that one that was the lightning strike, management is one component of it. But if you can pinpoint to someone's at fault, like a utility company or someone that caused the fire that then burns down structure, that's a whole different argument.
I mean, and they're good arguments.
Yeah.
So if you guys have been affected by the California fires and you don't know what to do or where to go, and you think you may have, and you're a victim, obviously, and you reach out to us because we have friends that can help you in California that can get you set up and get claims filed. If you've been a victim of a fire in Utah, reach out to us. The key, I think, with what we do is we tell your story and that's why I think Spencer Pratt should win a Pulitzer, right now.
Yeah.
He's telling a story, and it's a good one. And it's going to be really interesting to find out what happens in California, what happens, who's responsible for these fires, where's this money gone, what will the state of California and Governor Newsom's office, how will they continue to respond to this pressure that Spencer's putting on them, which is next level. And if I were them, I'd be super concerned. And I thought something about earlier when you made a comment that kind of went to motivation. Well, also, I think everyone's pretty much on the same page that Newsom intends to run for election in the next presidential election.
Yeah.
Which is also a big part of why he's come out and, all the lip service, all the pushback against
He's doing
Trump,
his own podcast.
Doing his own podcast. And Spencer Pratt may be single-handedly destroying his candidacy.
His presidential candidacy.
I mean, it's unbelievable if any of these allegations are true. Stay tuned. I mean, I think this is fascinating stuff. And keep bringing the comments. If you guys have thoughts or ideas or comments, we'd love to hear them. Please subscribe. Follow us on TikTok. You can follow us on Instagram. The comments are awesome. We try to respond to everybody. And it is fascinating. Spencer Pratt, we see you. We're rooting for you. Keep doing what you're doing. I think it's amazing. Heidi, keep doing your thing. I love Pitbull. So the fact that you got a collab with Pitbull is next level. So anyways, congrats to you guys. Keep doing your thing. Until next time, you guys, stay classy, stay safe. Leave early, slow down.